Good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, indeed, whenever or wherever you're listening to this. Welcome to episode 2 of the Rugby Realm. Joining me today, I've got Ethan once again. Mate, how are you?
Not too bad. Ate way too much earlier with a late kickoff, and it's really hot in this house, so it's a very dangerous combination. But I am here. I had my morning coffee, and I've still got the caffeine in my system.
Do you know what? Friday, I worked probably a 10, 11 hour day, got hardly any sleep. I woke up at 8
Mm.
o'clock in the morning to start off the All Blacks France game, and I feel
Yeah.
like I've been up so long. That game doesn't feel like it was today.
No.
And I think I've had a coffee, I've had a couple of energy drinks, and it's just yeah. I'm ready for my bed now. At 9 o'clock in the morning, I head out for the Highlands tomorrow, with the in-laws. So batting this out for you, lovely people, so we can get something out because I will not have any signal away in the mountains for a while. But what result? Like I went into this game and I thought to myself, my heart tells me that Scotland will win, but my head tells me that Argentina are probably going to take it by six. I wasn't expecting us to put 47 on them.
No, no. And I feel like we touched on it last week. I feel like it was kind of a sense of catharsis for Scotland, just to
Mhm.
channel all of that autumn pain, and just give it a go. Um, Scotland looked really sharp. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the 18th minute that Tui scored. The first 20 was a wee bit slow.
mm,
When it kicked off, I think we spoke about off air that I think it was 8 minutes that Argentina had possession. Scotland didn't touch the ball. They scored first. We hadn't touched the ball yet. TJ goes off with a HIA. Then a couple of minutes later, Elliot Miller Mills he's done his leg or his ankle or something, has to go off. Xander
yeah,
Fagerson is coming on, and we're thinking to ourselves, oh no, here we go again. Groundhog Day. But
yeah,
after Tui Pelotu broke the deadlock for us and got over the line, it was almost like the floodgates then just opened. It,
yeah. I'm just trying to remember this. Who? I'm just trying to remember all the scores.
there was a
It's
lot of
that's
scores.
fast.
So Tui Pelotu got our first one.
Yeah.
Hutchinson went over as well. And then we
Mm,
had all the special occasions scored. Schumann
yeah.
scored on his 50th. Scott Cummings also scored on his 50th. Someone in the group chat called him "Cum Dog Millionaire," and I was really uncomfortable with that. and Gregor Hiddleston also scored on his first appearance for Scotland as well. So all three of your big dogs who had big occasions today all made a mark. Um, and I think just for them to mark their occasion, uh, it was all really good. I've gone from
Mm,
after watching the Springboks dismantle England today, and I will get to this in a second. Don't worry, listeners. I thought, you know what, the best we can do is go over to South Africa and just be respectful. But you know what? If we can play like that, could we put up a fight?
yeah. I think Scotland, Scotland's attack or against South Africa over the last 2 years, I think, has been easily suffocated. But I think it's given me a bit more confidence today, knowing that in the World Cup game, how they beat us really easily was by suffocating Finn because they just nailed him. They knew
Mm,
that Finns are like distributor, but in this game, obviously Finn's not there. But it shows you, we built up the sort of I don't know distributing depth that you got Tui Potter, you've got Hutchison, you've got options all over the back line.
mm-hmm.
So it's kind of building in a post Finn world, I guess, in that you've got options everywhere for that fast attacking ball, alongside having two scrum halves is kind of the new strategy for Scotland. That might
Yeah. it
keep the
seems
ball
to have
going.
come through from Glasgow. There's been a real emphasis on ruck speed the last couple of years, and I think Franco was probably maybe even the first in world rugby to crack that. I was like, what easier way to keep your ruck speed high than have two scrum halves on the pitch at any given moment?
Hmm.
So just never give your opposition defence time to reset, and it seems to work well. I thought Jamie Dobie was quite quiet though for today.
Yeah, yeah, because I think they did mention his name at one point about 12 minutes in, I think, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I forgot Dobie was here. But no, I think to be fair, he was completely outclassed on the other wing by Stain. Like some of those high ball takes by Stain was just insane.
Oh, yeah, he looked like he might have came off injured at the end of it. I
Mm,
was saying in one of the group chats that like when he took that running one with two hands, sort of I think it was on the 60th odd minute or so, he was
yeah.
limping for a good bit after that, and then 2 minutes later he was subbed off for Darcy Graham. But
Mm,
he's king of the sky. He's might as well be an RAF fighter pilot. I
yeah.
mean, he's more comfortable in the air than he is on the ground. Uh,
Mm,
there's very few better in there than him. Uh,
yeah. And I feel for me, Stain shows kind of a progress for Scotland, adapting to the new game that we're in with the high ball being such a key part of it now.
yep, yeah,
That you couldn't
100%.
picture Scotland 2 years ago doing this sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and being that competitive. So I think it's a nice sign of progress for Scotland in that regard. I mean, hopefully he's fit because I think South Africa do quite like that competition as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time in a while I feel like so many of the Scotland boys have been fit at once. Like we all because we've got quite a small pool to pick from. It always feels like there tends to be 20-25% of our squad injured at any given point. And this seems to be the first time in a while that, off the top of my head, and there's probably one or two off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone injured. As far as I'm aware, both Kinghorn and Russell and Jones, well, I think Jones is more of a selection thing, but
Mm,
Kinghorn and Russell, they're both being rested as far as I'm aware.
mm,
Russell, just because they don't want to aggravate the injury, I don't think they want South Africa to have a look at him until they play. And obviously, Kinghorn going all the way in the top 14 with Toulouse,
mm.
he deserves the rest, quite frankly.
Yeah,
Although, should he be worried a bit? Because I thought that Kyle Rowe was outstanding today. He was so good.
yeah.
He was everywhere. He was fast. He was tactical. I mean, I can only think of that one error, but it's not really his fault. The missed bounce of the ball that led to one of the
Mm.
Argentinian tries that he missed. That's the only black mark on the entire game you could probably put on him. But other than that, fantastic. I thought he was going to get man of the match.
Yeah, I think it was the Schumann try basically came from his footwork.
Yes.
I think it was that one. And it was such it because I feel with Kyle Rowe, either he gets stopped really early and doesn't get the
Mhm.
time to make a break, or when he does make a break, he goes as far as he can. Um, no, which is really good for Kyle Rowe because I think he's been kind of omitted over the last few years and not gotten that recognition that he can easily put in a shift when he needs to.
Weirdly,
Um,
yeah. Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt
oh,
you.
sorry, yeah, no, that's fine.
No, I was just going to say, weirdly, he's one of these players. I feel like his versatility's probably hurt him a wee bit. That
Mm,
he was always the perfect 23 man, just because he could cover so many positions. But then when we got to a stage where someone like TG or Kinghorn was on the bench, he sort of missed out. Um,
mm,
but one of the things when he's on, an ability that he seems to have that other people don't. I'm not going to say that he's the opposite of Kinghorn, right? Where Kinghorn's got a great top speed, but it takes him 4 or 5 seconds to pick that up. Where Rowe, his acceleration is lightning, but his top
mm,
speed's not as fast. He's still rapid, don't get me wrong, but he's not as fast as
yeah,
Kinghorn. But he's off the mark straight away. There isn't really any
mm,
acceleration time with him. And like you were saying,
yeah,
if he gets marked early, his kicking game's so good, he tends to do a grubber kick, and he'll rather try to beat them on the outside, knowing that he's going to regather the ball, But if he doesn't regather the ball, it's gone into touch and he's made 30, 40 metres.
Yep. Yep. So I think he does have that intelligence as well that I think Scotland is improving on. That you can see Glasgow playing smarter and Scotland does nice things now and then that I feel is good for Scottish rugby as a whole, having that depth that they can think outside the box now and then,
Mm-hmm.
rather than have to put either try and do something overly, how would you describe, when they try to force things and it doesn't work because they're running out of options. But now they can do stuff like that fairly comfortably. And normally it would work.
I see what you're saying.
Mm,
Sometimes in my head, I try to oversimplify the game a little bit, and I think of it like
yeah.
almost like a rock paper scissors, right? And I put my rock paper scissors is Scotland, Ireland, England, where I feel
Yeah.
like our game plan that we play, if we are scissors, England's paper and Ireland's no, yeah, and Ireland's rock, where our game plan
Mhm.
always seems to favour playing England, but it tends not to favour an Ireland or a South Africa with the style of game that they play. Although you can argue South Africa have both rock and scissors, but
Mhm. Yeah.
it's going to be very interesting now that Scotland's games are a wee bit more rounded. How we're going to front up
Mhm.
against the world champions in their own backyard. I don't get me wrong. I don't expect us to go there and win as much as I'd like us to.
Yeah.
But when you go to the backyard of the world champions, it's a great measuring stick to see where you really are.
Yeah. And I think for Scotland, they do have more going in for them, more in their favor than previous years. As you say, I'm also not really expecting a win, but
Mm-hmm.
I think because when was it? Oh gosh, I was at that game 2023, no, 2024. Was that when we last played them at Murrayfield, and we didn't score any tries. All 18 or
Yeah.
so of our points came from penalties. Whereas I think now we've got more tricks in the bag for us to at least score a try or two. That I don't think we would be kept tryless.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've also got that confidence to try and back ourselves a bit more.
Yeah, yeah, no, I would agree with that. We're better at coming from behind than we were. Um, I I think we could be pleasantly surprised going into the South Africa game. Like speaking to a lot of Irish fans after the Six Nations game, where we came away from that game fairly disappointed, that a lot of Irish fans thought that that game was the best game that Ireland had played in a while, and
Mm.
that the scoreline really flattered Ireland if they had played the way that they had throughout the rest of the Six Nations. Scotland might have actually taken them that day. We were just for once genuinely unlucky. But
Mm.
the only thing that does concern me is we need to stop these leaky tries at the end. Like we conceded
Yeah.
14 points in the last 10 minutes. That's the only bit. Like that's a habit. Glasgow do it where sometimes we
Yeah.
get ahead too early. I think we spoke about this last week. Scotland have a tendency to do it. We did it against the All Blacks last autumn. We did it famously against the Pumas last autumn. We need to stop these periods of games where it's almost like we switch off for 10 or 15.
Yeah, as I said in the global game line chat, it reminded me of the France game in that Scotland were by far the better team today, but it's just that period at the end that there's a big hole and we started the leaking tries. And if there was about 5 or so more minutes, it could have gotten a bit ugly. That, we were lucky we still had what, a 9 point cushion?
9 points. We were 23 points up and then
Yep.
finished the game 9 points ahead. Argentina ended up getting a losing bonus point, but if they'd scored anything else, they might have gotten two losing bonus points, which really, at that stage, when we were 23 points up, we really should have been looking at getting over the 50 mark, not
Yeah.
conceding 14 in 5 minutes. I'm glad it was as late on as it was. Um,
Hmm.
it was funny. I can't remember which feed it was on. I kept swapping between the Irish feed and the ITV feed, and one of them was saying, "Oh, even the most pessimistic Scotland fan will have to accept that it's over now, and Argentina can't possibly get back." And I was screaming at the TV, like, "You just had to say it!" And that was it. Within seconds, the floodgates opened, and we conceded two tries. And I was like, "Oh no, oh no."
I mean, I was thinking at least it wasn't a 19 point. No, no, sorry, not 19, a 21 point comeback. I was like, we've avoided the magic number here. We might win it.
It was funny. I can't remember what the score was, but I was trying to look at. I was working out how many points we were ahead, and I was wondering if it was 21. It was just shy of it. I was like, lads, we're 21-0 up, we're 21 points up. The Pumas have got us right where they want us. But it wasn't to be. Who impressed you most today?
Ooh. Overall, I think Hutchison would
Mm,
probably be my pick in that I think we all forget how little Hutchison has actually played with the Scotland squad. That when you look at that back line from the starting back line, so you got TJ, Sione, Kyle Rowe, Dobie, and Kyle Stain. They all play together at Glasgow. Obviously, Tom Jordan's no longer there at Glasgow, but they,
mhm.
you know, they played with each other for years. Ben White, you know, he's been in the Scotland setup for quite some time. Whereas Hutchison's, I think he's always been in the training squad over the last few years, but
Yeah,
he's never
he never seemed
really,
to quite make it.
yeah. But you wouldn't have guessed that from how he was playing today.
No.
That
Uh, mhm.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say because when I remember when he was playing against New Zealand, there were moments where they just didn't sync up, which is fine. You know, it's just one of those things that they haven't really played with each other that much. But then when you looked at today, you wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, the only part that probably showed it was when a lot of the Glasgow boys were doing, the no look pop passes off
Yeah.
behind. When Hutchinson was the passer or the man running onto the ball, there was a handful of times where he was rather half a step in front or half a step behind. That
Mm,
was the only bit for me that you would tell. But other than that, yeah, I don't think it's a skill thing. I think, I've said this in the past, that I think Hutchinson is probably the most naturally gifted player that Scotland have had to not get regular game time. And I think just because
yeah.
the era he came through in, with Shuey Pilotu at his
Mm,
prime, and then if one of them went down, Stafford always had the link
yeah.
up of, oh, I know these guys, I've played for them before, so familiarity. Uh, Stafford's usually gotten picked. And he's not out the race by any stretch, by the way, I don't think. I think him and Hutchinson are going to be pulling that jersey backwards and forwards for a wee bit yet
Mm,
until the World Cup, I reckon, where one of Timson's going to have to lean one way or the other. Hutchinson's probably got a wee bit of credit in the bank after winning the
yeah.
English Premiership. But I'd be very surprised if Stafford McDowell doesn't get a couple of games in the jersey as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they might go next week. If I was Townsend, I'd probably go Hutchison because I don't think as much because Stafford's he's a big lad, he's a
Mhm.
unit. I think as we all know, you have to play around South Africa and not through them.
Yes, you can't outmuscle them. You have to run around them. That's the only, and even that's difficult. But it's the
Yeah.
only thing you can do. You can't run through. They're not even a brick wall; it's a titanium wall. You just can't break through it. England tried to outmuscle them today, and look how that went.
Hmm. And that who would you say yours most impressive player of the match was?
Ah, there's a few. Kyle Rowe is probably one that springs to mind the most. I thought he's was so good that he could be making a claim for Kinghorn's jersey.
Mm,
Um, Especially because Kinghorn's not been on the best of form. I thought Tui
no.
Pelotu was fantastic. Kyle Stein was great as well, but he always is. I thought Gregor Brown made a huge impact when he came on.
Yeah.
Um, but as like going for players who might not be usual starters, I'd say Kyle Rowe is probably the one I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Kinghorn needs to watch out here.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's fair. Because I think, I mean, I do like Kinghorn. I feel, I don't know what it is with Kinghorn. That he's a great kicker. He's got great distribution skills. I don't know if it's a footwork thing that when he gets the ball, he, I just don't know how to describe it. Like when you watch Glasgow play, Mackay and Rowe have a really similar thing in that they will either run the ball either all the way to the line where everyone else is to
Mm-hmm.
minimize ground conceded, or they will make a really good break. Whereas I feel like Kinghorn, I don't know what it is. It's kind of like the Doohan thing, where I don't know if it's just everyone now knows what sort of threat Kinghorn poses, and they've just managed to minimize it as much as they can now, and Kinghorn's just not adapted to it.
I'm going to put a really simple bit forward, and it's probably not, but Rowe has one trait in a fullback that I like more than Blair Kinghorn, especially more than Mackay at Glasgow,
Mm,
and is that he passes the ball. I don't know what it is
mm,
about Scottish fullbacks. Um, in recent years, I'm assuming they're probably coached that way, and they're told just to run it into contact because statistically it'll work out over X amount of runs or whatever. But sometimes I feel like Scottish fullbacks in particular don't like to pass the ball. Like I joke with Jordan and Murray sometimes. I'm like, try to count how many times in a game that Josh Mackay will pass a ball for Glasgow, and like it'll be two, maybe three passes a game. It's always something ridiculously low. Where I feel like Rowe's quite happy to give an offload. He's
mm,
quite happy to kick it through, and I'm not sure if it's as simple as that. That because Kinghorn's an established running threat, he's always marked by more than one man. So when he runs, he's always taken down. Where Rowe,
mm.
lower centre of gravity's got a wee bit of that Darcy Graham, footwork dancing
Yeah.
about the place, and he's more happy to offload it to a teammate. I'm not sure though.
Mm.
Do you agree or?
Mhm. Oh yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. That now you mention it, you do see him passing quite a lot. But do you think it's because he's really a winger by trade and he knows not quite the importance of give me the ball, but how it feels to get the ball
Yeah,
rather.
I think so because like I try to think back because I had the same issue with Ollie Smith. I
Mm,
remember back that game that we where Blair Kinghorn was playing 10, he was playing fullback. We narrowly lost to Australia at Murrayfield,
oh yeah.
and Ollie Smith scored that great try, but there was a handful of times where I was screaming, "Pass the ball!" And he's better at it now, but he doesn't seem to play fullback very often. And I would be
Mm,
very interested to see if you put Ollie Smith back at fullback, is he more likely to pass the ball, or is he going to go around I'm just going to call it the Josh Mackay route of just run it into contact every time? And as
mm,
much as I do actually, I'm not slagging off Josh Mackay by any means here. I think he's a great player, but I do think that sometimes if you're playing against him, it must be fairly predictable. You just be like, right, lads, don't
mm,
worry, one or two of you can always go on him because you know he's not going to pass the ball. So just get him down. Where
mm.
we're Rowe, because he could kick it or he could pass it, you're sort of backing off a little bit and you can't fully commit.
Yeah. But I do wonder because my theory is for Glasgow, Franco likes systems
Mm-hmm.
that he tries to get players to fit his systems. But I do wonder if it is literally whoever's playing fullback for Glasgow. tries to run it in and minimize kicking, keeping possession. That
Yeah.
way, if they run it into contact, that way they've minimized territory uh, conceded, but also someone will be there to then get the ball out, sort of thing, to save the risk of kicking it away. I do wonder if it's just something like that. It's just that strategy of
I
get them
would
back in.
imagine it'd be something to do with the fullback being the last line of defence. That if a
Mm,
player's going to go for an intercept or put pressure on it, they're more likely going to do it when it's the fullback running. I'm
mm,
just spitballing here. So my assumption has always been that when the fullback gets the ball, that you're just told, look, the risk isn't worth it. The risk reward payoff. So when you get the ball, just run it into contact. If you make a break, fine. But if you
mm.
don't, just go to ground, recycle it, get back, and cover the backfield afterwards. Is sort of all you can assume.
Yeah. Mm.
So we'll have a wee look at South Africa, right?
Yeah.
I'll move this over here. My back's hurting. Getting old. Um, so let's start off with England. Clip this up, but England were rubbish today. South Africa were great. England were rubbish. And it was, I'm not sure if you follow my power rankings or not, but I've got an algorithm that sort of predicts, sort of, with scary accuracy that I might add, how all the games are going to end up. And it had South Africa to win by 28 points today. And I was getting a ribbon on this online for about a week. And then South Africa won by 24. And I will want to point out they got a 5 pointer chopped off right at the end. So I thought that it was like, oh, this could be by 29 or 31 or something. Um, but they were so poor. Uh, Now, this
Mm.
is an England side that lost to Scotland, lost to Ireland, lost to Italy, lost to France. It's now lost to the Springboks. Why do you think there was so much chat about England going over and turning over South Africa?
I think it's one of those weird things that I can't remember if it was on this one or yeah, it must have been here because we wouldn't have talked about it in Global Game Line. That England can play ugly and they can be really good at playing ugly in the most complimentary way possible. That,
Hmm.
not quite the stereotypical pass it to George Ford and just drop goals at 10 times to get you 30 points. But you know what I mean? It's just that really long caterpillar ruck, kick it out, line out, scrum, etc. Repeat until you eventually get to the try line.
Hmm.
That I think that and England has put some fairly decent performances against South Africa. Like in the World Cup, they only lost by 1 point in the semi-final. Again, that was from what I remember, that was quite a bit of a watch for South Africa at times. That again, it wasn't a pretty win, but South
Hmm.
Africa managed to get it in a similar vein. But I think since then, South Africa has managed to, as we've spoken about earlier, they've added they had the rock originally, but now they've got the precision of the scissors to their game that they're very good at the high ball. They've got great distribution. They've got very good attacking shapes that
Yeah.
they've evolved. They've rounded out their game. Whereas England, I I still don't really know how they're trying to play
No,
that.
it seems to boot the leather off the ball and try to bully the
Mm,
other team into submission. Is from what I can see, it doesn't seem to be working. Um,
no.
yeah, it, and I mean, it might have just been the opposition they were playing, right? I mean,
Mm,
you could argue that the second best team in the world is the Springbok B side.
yeah.
Like they've got that much depth that, I mean, I'm not even saying that to butter them up, but like South Africa's B team genuinely might be the second best team in
Yeah.
the world. They churn out so many players that they have players that go through to their academies that don't make the cut over there that would be starters in other nations. Um,
Yeah. I think
so
oh, sorry, I was gonna say, I think the commentary said when Ox Nietzsche went down, they're like, oh yeah, but we've got Thomas du Toit sort of thing. And no other team would be as comfortable saying something like that, being like, having the complete faith that, obviously Ox is a fantastic player and not having him, as the comms said, to do the damage, tire the other ones out for the most of the game, and then you bring on the menace that is Du Toit. But just be like, yeah, we've got Thomas Du Toit. It's fine. We've got that depth.
It doesn't
Is
matter that
just,
Sia Khaleesi and Eben Etzebeth had to get pulled
yeah,
out at the last minute. It's like, we're covered. I mean, to have that much depth must be nice.
yeah. And I think going back to for an English side of things, the fact that they had a lot of young players on there, like Obano and
Mm-hmm.
Ford Ojuku, is that right? Asher Ford Ojuku.
Yeah, Juku.
The, yeah, that they're both quite young, and I felt they it was a fairly young English team at times. Like Morley, I've never really been impressed by him. But the fact that you have to give full respect to that English team going to South Africa, and sure, it may not be the performance that they wanted, but they still gave it a go. They went to probably the hardest place in world rugby to
I
play.
genuinely
At the
thought
moment.
you were going to give it the Batman there. It's like, it wasn't the performance they wanted, but it was the performance they
Yeah,
deserved.
yeah. I mean, you could argue it is the performance they deserved because it was a bit shit at times, but but no, you have to give them full credit for going there. Especially one thing at the moment is given the nature of the competition that you're not going to have as many away fans traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how many English people were in that crowd. I think there was two Scottish people in the Argentina match. Um, so to go there we saw it with Glasgow in the URC. Going playing away in South Africa is not easy. It's in the best ways possible. It's a hostile environment because South African fans just have that dynamism to it. They've got the energy that if you don't have, I don't know, that counter energy
Mm-hmm.
for your own team sort of thing, it must be quite grim, especially if you got 20 put on you and you're having to dig yourself out that hole.
That's the only thing when in rugby with North versus South when you're crossing the hemispheres, like because you'll probably find, and it's the same when South African sides come up to play Glasgow in the URC. The
Mm,
people that turn up to the games, like the only Scots that would be in Argentina, were Scots that probably already locally lived within the area and have been there for
mm,
years. Are cool. I never get to see Scotland play very often. I'll go across and see them. Um, and you would have had a handful that would have just so happened to have been on holiday in the area at the time, and you might have had 200 that flew over, if that.
mm.
And then you'd be like, "That's it. That's your whole allocation." You might have found that there might have been 1 or 2 thousand, and I probably would being generous here, Scottish fans in that stadium, um, total. And it'd be the same when we play South Africa.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, the one thing I'm going to say one thing about England before we go back to Scotland, right? With the resources that English rugby has, with the money they've got, the amount of team they've got a whole league to themselves. South Africa have 4 sides. Well, four
yeah,
sides in the URC. I know they've got more than that. Um, they England should constantly be a top four side, but they're not. They are horribly mismanaged. I
yeah,
mean, and I'm not going to moan about it. May it may it continue for a long, long time.
yeah,
But I'm just saying, if the shoe was on the other foot and I was an English fan, I would not be accepting that for a second, especially when England charged 200 quid a ticket to go see a game at Twickenham. Uh, I wouldn't accept it. But anyway, as Jeremy Clarkson would
yeah,
say, anyway.
yeah.
Sorry, I
Uh,
cut you off there, bud.
oh no, that's fine. No, I was just going to say it's the sort of thing that England just needs to change their style. That from I don't watch much Prem, but their best teams in the Prem at the moment being Northampton and Bath play nothing like the English national team do, and it doesn't really show how good those players can be.
Yeah, it it is a weird one, right? Because the Prem itself, like the stadiums are more full and they're bigger than the URC stadiums, but the quality on the park isn't as good. Like if you watch
Mm.
a Prem game in a URC game back to back, the atmosphere might be slightly better depending on the game that you're watching in a Prem match, but the quality on the park isn't. It's definitely not as good of a league.
Yeah, and it's I mean you've got as much as I hate the some of the chants you hear, was it? It's like, come on, you Quins and stuff like that. Which is granted, it's very uninspired, but at the same time, if you've got, if you've got a whole cranium chanting that for Harley Quinns, they must love it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, we may get flagged for the "We Are Warriors" sometimes. May also seem a bit bare bones, but like I think it would be nice if Scotland had that capacity, similar to a Prem one, that the atmosphere would be so much better.
I've thought this for a while, right? Like I just I'm going to use Edinburgh as the example here, just because they're the one that comes to mind when I'm trying to say this. I think go into the Hive, give a couple of people some orange flares, load up some songs on like a portable speaker or something. You know, in the World Cup where the Dutch fans have the flares, they're all jumping from
Oh
left to
yeah,
right.
yeah,
If you haven't seen it, Google it. Boom, 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 boom. And that stand behind the post at the Hive. Imagine a couple of people just light off some orange flares, and the whole Edinburgh crowd start jumping from side to
yeah.
side. Something like Edinburgh, or Scotland,
Yeah.
Scotland. Like, I just adopt some new songs. That's all I'm saying. All I'm
Yeah.
saying. Uh, anyway, let's look forward to South Africa. It looks like, other than Elliot Miller Mills, uh, we are fairly injury free.
Yeah. And I wasn't really expecting him to play next week. I was more surprised that he did play this one because I was expecting Darcy Ray to, he's already had the warm up against South Africa. I
Mm-hmm,
don't think he played against Wales for the Barbarians. I don't think so. I think it was only Liam McConnell was the only Scottish player there.
mm-hmm,
So maybe it is just a tactical rest in that, you've got someone there who has just played against South Africa, has, knows what it feels like and stuff, and you'd rather play him than keeping him in cotton wool for for South Africa. Because I do think, granted, this might be a bit of bias, but I feel Ray to me is the better player than Miller Mills. It might just be I don't see enough of Miller Mills, and it might just be because like the in the autumn we were like, oh, Xander's out, this is going to be dire, and then Darcy, he stood up, and we are like, oh, Darcy Ray, he can play, sort of thing. And
mm-hmm.
then Miller Mills came off the bench, and by that time, you already feeling relieved about Xander's absence, but you would more attribute that to Ray than Mill. So maybe it's just one of those things that I'm not giving him enough credit for Miller
Maybe.
Mills.
But I mean, Miller Mills, he was with Northampton, wasn't he? He won
Yeah,
the Premiership. Probably why he's there. And it's him or someone else that's signed for Newcastle for next season. I'm pretty sure it's Miller
he
Mills
did. Yeah,
signed for Red
yeah,
Bull. And look, let's
mm,
be fair. We all know that Gregor Townsend's handpicking half the signings for Red Bull, right? Let's not beat around the bush here.
yeah,
Allegedly, just in case anyone
yeah.
from the SRU's listening, um, it's fair. It's fairly well received that he's pulling the strings. So we know that he's a big fan of him. Now, if he is fit, Elliot Miller, do you start him against the Boks? Do you start Xander Fagerson, or do you want to have like a bomb squad come off the bench? Like, how do you line up against the Boks?
I think I would try to go for a bomb squad in
Mm-hmm.
that I think what Scotland tends to do is at the moment, they've never had Schumann and Fagerson on at the same time because
Hmm.
I think we both know that the the quality and depth is quite not huge, but it is noticeable when you go from, for example, Schumann to Sutherland or Fagerson to whoever's next. And so I wonder if they stagger them. So you've got, I don't know, Schumann starts, Fagerson on the bench. So that way you still got the quality of those two on one at a time and tries to mitigate it that, you've got Sutherland coming in, that, that's an all Glasgow front row if you've got Hiddleston in the middle. So I wonder if that's the strategy, that a bomb squad, but you've also got the Glasgow cohesion
Yeah,
there.
like Schumann and Zander are clearly our strongest.
Mhm.
I don't feel as much of a depth drop when Sutherland comes on, but I
Yeah.
do when it comes to on the other side to Ray or Miller Mills.
Mm.
Um, like Schumann's a little bit of a better player than Sutherland, but I feel between Xander and his next, I should say his next to kin, but his next player, um, I feel like the drop off's a lot bigger.
Mhm.
So you know, I don't. I'm half and half. Like the thing is, and this is what makes the Springboks so lethal. You rather go with not your strongest squad straight
Mhm.
away, and the Springboks are probably going to, if you can keep parity with them at the beginning, they're going to bully you at the end. Or
Yep.
you try to mitigate that by making a bomb squad, but by the time the bomb squad comes up, you could be chasing a game.
Mhm.
So it's tough regardless of what way that you play it. And if you try to go half and half, if you try to go half and half, you don't seem to. You might just not have an impact at all. So I feel like you have
Mhm.
to pick one or another. You either go all guns blazing from the get go, and then you drip feed your bench in to try keep it going, or you just trust that maybe you start your maybe not as good. I don't know what we say. You start your players that would usually be on the bench, and you keep your strongest lads on the
Mhm.
bench for that big impact. But again, against the Boks, what's that going to do?
Mhm. Yeah, because I think in terms of the rest of the pack, it's not much of an issue with your locks and the back rowers and stuff. I think it's really just the front three that I'm a bit more torn because I feel like the quality in the back row, Gregor Brown, for example, he was on the bench today, but you could
Mhm.
easily slot him in the starting position. Um, I'm trying to remember who else came off. Who? Gosh, this is really bad. I can't remember who else. Who else played? So we've got Alex Samuel. So we've got three
We
front.
had three backs, so it was a
Yeah.
5-3 split. The backs where you had Fergus Burke came on for
Yeah,
TJ, Darcy Graham came on for Kyle Stain, Horn came
yeah,
on for
for
White.
Ben White. Yeah. So they
Um,
must have just went three the front row and two locks if it was Brown and Samuel, but then Brown can play
yes,
back.
Samuel came
Yeah.
on for Dempsey, I believe. Samuel went on at 8, I
Oh.
think. Or he might have come on at 6. He probably came on at 6, and Fagerson probably moved to 8. No,
Mm,
no. I yeah, I reckon it would have been something like Samuel came on at lock, Gregor Brown probably moved to 6, and Matt Fagerson
mm,
probably moved to 8, as I imagined how it would have went. Um, yeah, I'm going to stick with that.
yeah.
I'm going to say that you try to make the squad as strong as you can
Mm,
with a strong bench. That's the only way you go. I expect you might see Xander Fagerson and Gregor Brown once again on the bench for the Boks.
mm,
I think the squad is probably going to stay relatively the same, apart from Finn Russell will start. I
yeah.
think Stafford will probably start over Hutchinson only because TJ is going to move to the bench. Um,
Ooh.
I'd I'd be quite surprised if Darcy is on the bench. If Kinghorn
Mm.
starts, it might be Rowe on the bench instead.
Oh, I thought Kinghorn had the whole summer off. I wasn't
I,
expecting
I,
him.
I'm not sure. I really don't
Yeah.
know. If he's got the whole summer off, then yeah, Rowe starts. Um, but Darcy, I don't think he covers enough positions for me
Mm.
to warrant a bench spot. It felt like that. What was the game of the Six Nations we put Doohan on the bench?
I think that's Wales. I feel
Yeah.
like
No, I thought he
I think
started against Wales.
or they
I
start.
remember
Because
he was the captain in fantasy squad. He scored me nothing and then came off. um, because there was a game. It might have been the autumn. I can't. That's going to annoy me. I can't remember which game it was, but he was on the bet. It was the Argentina game. It was.
yeah.
It was that. Yeah, because everyone questioned it. Um, that he only covered the one position, and it was like you were then really lacking. I don't know who you could pick.
Mm.
I'm just trying to think who would be on the bench to replace Darcy then.
What I'm thinking is, would you start Darcy and put either Dobie or Stain on the bench, and that you can then either replace Darcy with Dobie and then go for that double winger strategy or double scrum half strategy, or would you want the double scrum half strategy from the start?
I think you go from the start because just thinking we're not going to go 5-3 against the Boks. We're going to go 6-2.
Uh,
Yeah.
mm,
So right, it'll just be an extra forward. You'll probably find it'll be George Horn. will be on the bench, and then you'll have TJ for his versatility. They'll be the only
mm,
two backs on the bench. You'd have your front three then. You'd have Gregor Brown. Um, I'm trying probably Alex Samuel again. He showed he
yeah.
can front up physically, and maybe Magnus Bradbury. Maybe
Yeah, because I was just trying to think who else was actually in the squad. Um, because I think Bradbury has got he's had a pretty good season for Edinburgh, and I mean did he play in the autumn? I'm trying to think when he last played for Scotland. Like, he played relatively recently, I'm
he
sure,
played in the
and he
autumn, and he
did.
played in the Six Nations as well.
Yeah, and I think having that momentum from eight that I do like Dempsey. It's just then if Dempsey gets injured, that I think Bradbury's might not be as fluid as Fagerson might be at eight, but he's got the size on him that might come into play.
Yeah, I mean, I, we might go for a big bastard back row.
Mm,
Like, it wouldn't totally surprise me if we had a sort of like our back row forwards. We had a 6-7-8 combo of Magnus Bradbury, Matt Fagerson, Jack Dempsey, just to try to compete with the size. That wouldn't
mm,
totally surprise me if we just went big. Um, it it also wouldn't surprise me if Gregor Brown started in six and we kept Matt Fagerson as an option on the bench instead.
mm.
Um, now that Johnny Gray's back in the squad, I could see a world where we go, yeah, where we go Big Ginge at six. His name's popped up my head. Big Ginge at six, uh, Darge at seven, and Dempsey at eight.
Yeah, because I think Gray being in today makes me think he is going to play next week and just tackle a million different people.
Yeah,
That's because I think Johnny Gray's not had the best few years. We might be in for the Graynaissance that he's coming back into form.
I like that.
Hopefully, but one thing you can always count on for him is he puts in a tackling shift
He
that
does, and he
it's just
doesn't mind throwing
instinct.
his head in there either.
Yeah, and that's what you need for South Africa. I mean, it's not how you would beat South Africa, but you do need that to have a foot in the game against South Africa. Um, and I do wonder whether, because I know Gilchrist was obviously he's out this season, but whether if Gilchrist was available, whether he would be in, and that's why we wouldn't have Johnny Gray, where we've just got that senior operator
Hmm.
role that Townsend seems to like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, for me, I'm just trying to go through my squad. I would start. Oh, do I start Hiddleston? I would start Schumann, Hiddleston, Baptism of Fire,
Mm.
Rory Sutherland, not Rory Sutherland, sorry, Elliot Miller Mills. Um, 4 and 5, I'm going to go Cummings and Johnny Gray again. 6, 7, 8, I will go Matt Fager. Yes, going to keep the same. Matt Fagerson, Rory Darge, um, and Dempsey. Is Jamie Ritchie available, or has he got the summer off as well with stuff going on in his personal life?
Oh, I thought he's injured. I thought he was still in recovery.
I
Is
don't
that
know.
right?
I thought that with the stuff that was going on in the media with
Hmm.
him and him relocating back to Glasgow, I thought that was the reason he had the summer off.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure whether, because a lot of the people who aren't in are either injured and or moving to France or moving from France.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it might just be an injury because I think he would definitely be included if he was available, or at least, included in the squad, but be like, oh, you'll just play in Fiji or against Fiji. Um, but no, I don't think he is available, unfortunately. I
No,
think,
but that would be the type of game for him because games where
yeah.
Scotland need a wee bit of grit. That's Jamie Ritchie
Mm.
territory.
Yeah. And it's also getting those turnovers as well is
Yes,
something Scotland needs. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
because that responsibility feels like it rests solely on Rory Darge at the moment, and
mm,
it's. I'm always in a mixed bag with it. Like individually, I like Rory Darge and Jamie Ritchie individually,
mm,
both as players, but I don't like it when Scotland play them together. As much as it makes Scotland versatile, I also feel like it makes Scotland a wee bit lightweight in the modern game because they're both
yeah.
four back row forwards. They're fairly slender.
Mm,
Um, compared to me, they crush me like a tin can. But in that world, they're fairly slender. Um, for the backs, I'm just trying to think. The only changes I've foreseen the backs: Finn Russell for TJ, obviously.
mm,
White still starts. I think it'll be Tupelo to McDowell in the midfield. As much as I was impressed with Hutchinson today, I just don't think he'll start. Um, no one's Kyle Stein's the best winger we've got by a country mile.
mm.
Um, he'll keep Dobie on the other wing to try keep the fast ruck speed. And if Kinghorn's got the summer off, Rowe will hold on to that starting place. Uh, and then Kinghorn will really have to watch himself when he comes back because Rowe's not going to want to give that jersey back.
Yeah.
Um, on the bench, I'm going to say Sutherland, Ashman, Fagerson, Samuel, Gregor Brown, and Magnus Bradbury. That's your bomb squad. They unload all at once, comes on, your brew bomb. um, and then after that, I would imagine it'd be Horny Boy and TJ on the bench as your backs. Would you have anything different?
Yeah, I think I would structure the front row. I think it would be similar in that you've got Schumann and then probably Ashman and then Ray. Because I think you've got that synergy of an Edinburgh front row.
Okay.
Then you've got they probably go grey again just for that tackling machine. As much as I think Alex
Oh,
Samuel could replace that, because Alex Samuel,
oh,
he's got crunchy tackles. Hmm? What was that?
or it's my microphone.
Oh, it's your mic.
Oh, there you go. You're back. You're back. You're back.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry,
No,
I could see your lips moving, but there was
yeah,
nothing was coming out there for a minute.
that's all right. So yeah, so you've got the all Edinburgh front row, probably Johnny Gray, and then as much as I think Alex Samuel can replace him because he's got some crunchy tackles, like he's the reason that Snyman won't be playing against us next week. And then you've got Cummings. I think that's probably what I'd go for because I think Johnny Gray, he did well against Argentina. He didn't have a bad game. Then I think it would be relatively unchanged for Fagerson. Fagerson, Darge, Dempsey. I don't think that would change. White. Finn's obviously going to be back in. I think the back rows or the backs aren't going to change. I think they will keep Hutchison as I think Hutchison has a bit more utility than McDowell does if they need to change things around.
That is
Um,
true.
then on the bench you'd have the Glasgow front row of Sutherland, Hiddleston and Xander Fagerson. Then Cummings, not Cummings, sorry, Samuel Brown. Yeah, I think I agree with you, Bradbury. I think he'll come into it because I'm sure they
You
put
also
him against
cover the
Ireland.
opposition because he can play anywhere from 4 up to 8.
Who's that?
Bradbury, he can
Oh, yeah,
play lock, second row, or number 8.
yeah. So I think he's definitely going to come in. I would then go Horn, and I think TJ to me would be the best one. That I don't. It's a hard one because I can see the balance of a 5'8" for South Africa, but I think the only reason why they went 5'8" today was more so having the backup of Burke for TJ specifically, if TJ wasn't clicking. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the only reason why Burke was there. Um, if they do go 5'8", I think it would be Darcy, Horn, and TJ. But if it's just a 6'2", I would just go Horn and TJ.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like Scott, and I'm going to be a wee bit of a hypocrite here. Anyone that's listened to me on the Celtic Kickoff will know that I've moaned that Scotland lose games where we try to play against our opposition instead of playing to our own strengths. Where
Mm,
when Gregor Townsend plays a team that he perceives as better than his own, he sets up the team to try stop them instead of playing Scotland's game. And I've
mm,
always said, like, if you're going to play South Africa, you can't play them at their game. You're going to play Ireland, you can't play them at their game. Our best chance of winning is to play our game. Uh, but to play our games, that is a 5-3 split. That's Scotland's game. But
yep.
it also feels a wee bit immature to go 5-3 against the Boks.
Mm,
I mean, you're almost forced to go 7-1 against the Boks. it's
yeah.
it's one of those things, but it is what it is. Um, we'll probably wrap it up in a second, just because it is 12 at time of recording, and I still have to pack for the Highlands tomorrow. Um, but let me push you on a prediction. What are you thinking for tomorrow? Not tomorrow,
I
next week.
yeah.
You can tell it's late, can't you?
I think score wise, South Africa would win. I don't think it'll be super close, but I'd probably say I feel like for the last few times it's always been within like between 9 and 16 points.
Mm.
That's it's not that just a two-score game sort of thing. That may yeah, I'm gonna go 16. South Africa win by 16.
16. I don't think it'll
Yeah.
be that much. I just wanted to check one thing before I give a prediction. Uh, I want to see who the Springboks have after us.
Mhm.
Um, South Africa fixtures rugby, not football.
Or they'd have a well, they've got Wales, so
Oh, is it Wales? Is it?
it'll be Wales, yeah.
Ah, damn.
Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, they're probably going to go full noise.
yeah. I was going to say I was hoping they might have had a France or something coming to town because if they had a France, we might have been in a wee bit of luck of pinching a rare victory away. I mean, look, Scotland have to believe that they can go there and win. You can't go
Yeah.
there, and I think unless we really implode against Fiji,
Mhm.
regardless of what happens, this summer's probably going to be seen as a success.
Mhm.
Like I said before the summer kicked off, that Scotland need to win at least 2 out of the 3 games.
Yeah.
And you'd imagine they're playing the Fiji away games at Murrayfield, so you'd imagine they'd win that one. No disrespect to Fiji. So I think as long as they stay competitive against South
Mhm.
Africa, it'll be fairly good, especially up in the high belt. If they were to come away with a losing bonus point or two, that'd be fantastic. If they came away with a victory, dreamland. Scotland are peaking.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to say we come away with 2 losing bonus points. I'm going to say that we lead for a short period of the game. South Africa put us back in our box. Um, we get the 4 tries, and South Africa beat us by 6. We leave the high belt with our heads held high, winning away in Argentina and losing fairly narrowly in the high belt. And in a typical Scottish fashion, we'll be talking here next weekend about what could have been.
I think my only bit of sort of hopium is last year
Get to
when
it.
Australia beat South Africa.
Mhm.
That I think Scotland could play similar in that who was it that said I can't remember who it was, but basically the way to beat South Africa at the moment is you have to put 30 on them. And that those sort of high scoring, oh, yeah, no, let's just put 100 in South Africa, that would be safe. But no, but more the idea of that high paced or fast paced, high scoring games that puts the pressure on South Africa.
Mhm.
And I think if we do what we did to France and Argentina, in that we score a bunch of unanswered tries, and that puts the pressure on them, that might make it that sort of fast-paced, chaotic game that Scotland needs. Because in that case, South Africa would have
Oh
to either be calling it back or they have to keep it competitive and fast enough that we can't just take the piss and park the bus.
yeah, I mean the way both teams will line up, Razi will be telling his team keep it as structured as you can. If we keep the
Mm,
game structured, they can't compete. Where Townsend is going to be trying to make it as chaotic as possible because if it breaks down, it gets chaotic. That's where Scotland thrive.
yeah.
We thrive in the chaos. So is it going to be chaotic or is it going to be structured? That's the thing. But that's how Ireland beat us as well. Ireland beat us
Mm,
through structure, and that's the reason that we always do good against in England. We can infuriate in England, get under their skin. France like to play an unstructured game. That suits us. That's why we always perform
mm.
against these teams. Teams that like to play a very regimented, structured, boring style of rugby, we struggle against. So I'm going to say we have our moments. We lead for a very short period, get put back in our box, but we leave the high belt um, sore but feeling good about ourselves.
Yeah, I can't see it being any worse than England's performance. That I think we've got more in our favour to build on that.
We're a
Maybe
better
not
team than England
enough.
as well.
We're definitely a better team than England. I don't think I could see France going down and winning. I could see Ireland going down and winning. In a sort of 1 in 3 chance that, or at least 1 in 3 chance for those two teams to win. They might not win each time, but for us, yeah, I think 1 in 8, 1 in 6, that it's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible, but yeah, if you played that game 10 times over, we might win two of them.
Hmm.
Um, sort of thing. The Although actually now you've just said that, the pressure probably is on for the Boks a wee bit because they don't play France or Ireland in the high belt. They're going away to Paris and to Dublin.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, who else? Who's the other? Oh, I'll be Italy. I'll be Italy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so Rome, Dublin, and Paris. Um, yeah, okay. Um, we'll see which one of us is right. We'll leave it there for this evening.
yeah.
Thank you so much for listening this week. We will have our own feed up soon. We are working on that, I promise. As far as I'm aware, this is still going out on the URC page. We are going to have a dedicated rugby page set up soon. To be fair, I have jumped the gun a wee bit early on Lee on this one. When I spoke to him, I wasn't actually meant to start until the start of next season, but I decided to, strike while the iron was hot. So it's probably my fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault a wee bit. But anyway, that's us for this week. You'll have to tune back in next week to find out if which one of us were right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think
oh,
I might be on, not as maybe a slight plug. We are working on it. You may see me on a bit of an animal, but I also expect me to be on the global game line for a pre Scotland South Africa chat with Mohammed from a bit of animal, but also the global game line. So stay tuned. I should be on there, but we are working on that as well.
well, perfect. Well, thanks very much, and we'll see you again next week. Bye bye.